Ladies and gentlemen, we are 2 nights away from UFC 322 between Della Maddalena and Islam Makhachev, followed by also Valentina Shevchenko and Zhang Wei Li. It's an absolutely stacked card from head to toe. We got some prospects on here like Baisengur Sosakayev. We got Cheap Mariscal, Pat Sabatini going up against each other. We got Malcolm Wellmaker on the card. We'll talk about how he has had two short notice replacements, one being just a few hours ago. We have Aaron Blanchfield going up against Cortez. We got Robocop versus Roman Kopylov. We got Bo Nickel in his return fight. We got Benoit Saint Denis taking a step up against a veteran and Benil Dariush. We got Prates going up against a veteran like Leon Edwards, who's fought the best of the best. We got Sean Brady going up against an up-and-comer in Michael Morales. And then we got the two stacked title fights, one being the number 1 versus number 2 pound-for-pound women, and then the other being a huge step up for Makhachev, because I do think that JDM is his toughest fight he's had to date, but we'll get into that. So starting off the card, we have Vyacheslav Borshev going up against Matheus Camilo. I'm going to go with Camilo here. It's a really bad fight to start off the card. This was a short notice fight that got added. They just wanted to have 14 fights on the card. And so, unfortunately, this is the one they added. But Borshev's probably on his way out. He has not looked good whatsoever wherever the fight has been. He's shown that he has the decent stand-up kickboxing style, but that's about it. He did actually have a majority draw with Nazim Sadiqov, which is actually not that bad. That's actually pretty good for him because Nazim's showing to be a very good underrated fighter at the lightweight division. But then he goes and gets submitted against Chase Hooper. All right, Chase Hooper is a good, he's a good submission artist. Then he gets a split decision win over James Lyontop, which Lyontop kind of showed that he's really not all that. And then he loses back-to-back fights. One to Tom Nolan, which is not good at all, and then getting submitted by Terence McKinney, not knocked out, which is kind of surprising. But then we look at Matheus Camilo. His only loss was to Gabe Green by submission, which Gabe Green has actually shown that he's a pretty good grappler. But Camilo was able to actually grapple with Gabe Green in his debut. He landed a few takedowns on him, and he's going to be a lot quicker than Borshev. I think Borshev might have more power on the feet, but Camilo's going to be a little bit quicker and probably throw more and do more in the entire fight. So give me Matheus Camilo to win a 29-28 decision. This is an awful fight, but I'm just going to go with the guy that has actually showed promise. And Borshev is probably just kind of cashing in his paycheck at this point, which is kind of crazy because he is from Team Alpha Male, which I'm very high on that camp. But Borshev probably going to get cut after losing to Matheus Camilo. So give me Camilo by 29-28 decision. Moving up on the card, we have Baisengur Sosakayev going up against Eric Makhachev. Baisengur Sosakayev, he is famously known for winning his Contender Series by a body kick, which is absolutely amazing. He dropped right to the ground after getting hit by it. And then he fought a few days later on the UFC pay-per-view card, and he was able to get the submission over Eric Nolan. So Baisengur is very popular right now for doing that. No one's ever fought those close to fights back-to-back. So he's a very big prospect right now. But his issue is he is very cocky. He tends to leave his hands down, and it's going to catch him at some point if he does it when he fights these ranked fighters. I don't think Eric Makhachev is going to be the one to catch him, but when he fights these more technical guys, it's going to catch him. Sosakayev also showed a pretty good ground game as well. He's very balanced. He has good striking, very good kickboxing, and he has good grappling. Makhachev, kind of just known for his power. He's not really technical anywhere. He's shown that he can take people to the ground, but that's mainly just because of his power. I don't think he's going to have a huge power advantage in this fight against Sosakayev. I know those Russian guys are kind of built different, so don't really think Makhachev is going to have an advantage anywhere in this fight. He barely beat Cody Brundage, so if Sosakayev is really all that, he should not be struggling against a guy that barely beat Cody Brundage. So 96% of people are picking Sosakayev, and so am I. So give me Sosakayev to get the knockout in the first round and continue his hype train. But there should be no way he loses this fight. Moving up on the card, we have Angela Hill going up against Fatima Klein. This is an interesting fight because Angela Hill's kind of like the Neil Magny of the women's division, where she's the gatekeeper. She has a very good pressure on the feet. She hasn't really been knocking anyone out. She's all right on the ground, but when it comes to this fight, I think Fatima Klein has the advantage everywhere. except for maybe power. But Fatima Klein has been looking very good on the feet recently. She's got that amazing head kick KO over Melissa Martinez. So she's shown that she has very good striking ability, but she also has very good grappling as well, which we really haven't seen so much in her fights yet. But she's a very good grappler. I think she could be able to use that to kind of, you know, take away from the striking that Angela Hill has, because Angela's got to come forward the entire 3 rounds. So Klein's gonna need to take this to the ground at some point, and I think she will. So I think Fatima Klein will get a close 29-28 decision. Angela Hill always keeps it close just because of her pressure. But I think Fatima Klein is going to be able to land more shots, more damaging shots, I should say. I think Hill might be able to land more, but Klein will land the more damaging shots, and then she'll also have the ground control. And who knows, maybe she'll even find a submission. But Hill has not been put away to anyone in a while. So I'm going to go with Fatima Klein to win a very close 29-28 decision. But I'm very confident in Klein. She's a young up and comer. She's only 25 years old, and her only loss in the UFC was her debut to Jasmine Jasudavicius, which is not a bad loss whatsoever. It was by decision. So give me Fatima Klein to win this one. Moving up with Cheap Mariscal versus Pat Sabatini. Now, I will tell you guys, I think I only have 2 underdogs on this 14-fight card, so it does worry me throughout this card, but one of my very few underdogs is Cheap Mariscal. Cheap Mariscal I've been very high on for a while now. I think he's one of the best unranked guys in the entire UFC. His fights are very known. His fighters he's beaten are very known, I should say. Jack Jenkins, he verbally tapped from an arm injury, so he broke his arm, but he was beating up Jack Jenkins before that happened. And then after that, he gets a split decision win over Morgan Charrier, which Morgan Charrier has shown he's a very good brawler on the feet. Then he beats Damon Jackson by unanimous decision, which Damon Jackson was very hyped up. Everyone was so high on Damon Jackson. And now everyone's going to act like that's not a good win just because Damon Jackson didn't throw enough against Davison Figueiredo. But that's a very good win for Cheap Mariscal. And then he's coming off of a win 8 months ago to Ricardo Ramos, which, that's not the best win. I would have liked to see that be a finish because, Ricardo Ramos just got finished very, very badly to Con Ofley. That was very embarrassing. But regardless, he still got the dominant win. So give me Cheap Mariscal to win this fight. If we look at Pat Sabatini, he's known for his grappling, but what people don't know is Mariscal has very good jiu-jitsu. So I think he's going to be able to hold his own on the ground. He's going to try and find sneaky submissions if Pat Sabatini takes him down. But Mariscal also has good takedown defense. So I don't think Sabatini is going to be able to just dominate him on the ground like some people think. It is a very close odds. It's plus 105 right now for Mariscal. So it's a very close fight. But Sabatini's stand-up is really not that good. I think that Mariscal is going to have a huge advantage on the feet. And then when it comes to the ground, I think Sabatini is going to eventually start just spamming takedowns, and it's not going to work for him. Mariscal's going to stop all of them once he starts spamming them because he's going to be expecting them. So give me Cheap Mariscal, probably to get the knockout in the second round. I'm very high on Cheap Mariscal, and I think he should be able to knock out a guy like Pat Sabatini. Even though Pat Sabatini is a very, very good grappler, I don't think he beats a guy that's as well-rounded as Cheap Mariscal. Moving up on the card, we have Gerald Mearshart, GM3, going up against Kyle Dawkins. Kyle Dawkins, obviously, on his redemption run right now. He was currently in the UFC, and then he went on a bad run. He was losing, I think he only won 2 of his 7 fights in the UFC. Then he went over to CF, I think it was Cage Fury. He went back over there. He went on a nice little win streak over in CFC. I think winning 4 straight, and then he fought Michel Pereira in his return fight and knocked him out in the first round with a clean hook. Now he's going up against GM3, which GM3 kind of looks like he's on his way out, losing to Michel Oksajik by first round KO, losing to Brad Tavares by unanimous decision, and losing to RDR by a choke. Now, that was a close fight, though, which is kind of concerning and, kind of makes me question this, but even if we go off of that fight, he did not show that level of skill in his last 2 fights between Brad Tavares and Michel Oksajik. Kyle Dawkins, on the other hand, he seems like he's added this high-level pressure. He was coming right forward towards Michel Pereira, and I think he's going to do the same thing against GM3. GM3 just relies on his takedowns. He tends to get beat up a lot in the first 2 rounds, and then he relies on having a explosive third round, which never goes well for him. There was a few times back towards 2020 where he was actually getting these comeback wins after being down 2 rounds, but now it's just come to bite him in the butt, if he can even get to the third round. But I'm going to trust Kyle Dawkins here. Kyle Dawkins does have a pretty decent ground game. Um, that's what he was kind of known for in his first run in the UFC. Now he's kind of switched to, being this powerful aggressor on the feet. But he still has that ground game in his arsenal. So if he has to go to it, he will. But I think GM3 likes to keep it standing at the beginning, and that's going to cause problems for him against Kyle Dawkins. And I believe in the hype of redemption for Kyle Dawkins. So give me Kyle Dawkins by knockout in the first round. I believe that he's a new and improved version of himself. And he's from Philadelphia, so, I got to rep him. But 91% of people are picking Dawkins. I wouldn't say I'm that high confident in him. I'd probably say it's more like, I think it should probably be like 70-30, because GM3 always has a chance. You never know. But I think Dawkins gets the knockout early because GM3 is very conservative on the feet. And he does have a powerful overhand, but he doesn't really hit it all that much. Moving up, we have our lock of the week in Malcolm Wellmaker. Now, I will tell you, Malcolm Wellmaker, it does worry me that this fighter that he's going up against has to make weight in one day. I'm sure this dude's been training, which is why they picked him. But if Malcolm Wellmaker, if his fight ends up not going through tomorrow during the weigh-ins, then my lock of the week will be Basingur Sursakayev. So I will let everyone know that now. We will be uploading Malcolm Wellmaker tomorrow if it goes through, but if not, we will be going with Basingur Sursakayev if this fight doesn't go through. But Malcolm Wellmaker, obviously known for getting his very big highlight reels over Cameron Simon and Chris Moreno. Cameron Simon was a very good fighter at that time when Malcolm Wellmaker fought him. Cameron Simon was considered a prospect at one point, and then Wellmaker put him to sleep with a very beautiful counter right hook. Then he goes up against Chris Moreno, which, put that very good, close competitive fight against Sean O'Malley, and then he got cut and everyone wanted him back. He came back, and Wellmaker freaking knocked him out in the first round with the right hook. It was absolutely beautiful. So Wellmaker has shown that he has absolutely amazing pressure and amazing boxing. We haven't really seen the wrestling side of him, but I don't think it'll matter. He's gone up against another striker in Ethan Ewing. Ethan Ewing, not really from a very big promotion. He did have a few fights in the LFA, I will say, but he did lose one, and then he won a different one. But they weren't to anyone crazy. He does have a lot of finishes, but I don't think it's going to be on the level of Malcolm Wellmaker. Wellmaker definitely has the better wins, and Wellmaker will probably be going in as a minus 1,000 favorite. I would be surprised if it's not at least minus 1,000. So give me Malcolm Wellmaker to get the first round knockout and continue his win streak. I know if he was going to be fighting Cody Haddon, but I think they should just give him a huge step up if he knocks out this guy in the first round as well, because that's 3 straight first round knockouts for him. So give me Malcolm Wellmaker to get the first round knockout over Ethan Ewing. Moving up on the card, we have Aaron Blanchfield going up against Tracy Cortez. I'm going to go with Aaron Blanchfield here. I'm not a big fan of Tracy Cortez. If we look at both of their records, Blanchfield is 4-1 in her last 5, as well as Cortez. But Blanchfield's only loss was to Amanda Fiorot, who had a very close fight with Shevchenko, whereas Cortez, her only loss was to Rose Namajunas in her last 5, and she's coming off a win to Viviana Rayo, which, that's an okay win. Blanchfield's coming off a win to Rose, which Rose literally just beat Cortez. But both of them have very similar styles. I just think that Blanchfield's going to be a little bit more stronger. And if we look at my notes here, I think she's going to apply more pressure, and she definitely has the better grappling, I believe. So I think she's just going to do more in this fight. I think she's got, like I said, the better grappling. So I think she's going to dominate when it goes to the feet, or when it goes to the ground, but she can also dominate on the feet. Cortez, I think she's just going to be overwhelmed from Blanchfield. I know she also has a little bit of striking and a little bit of grappling, but it's not to the level of Blanchfield. Blanchfield has shown she's at the top of this division for a reason, and they're giving another girl that's attractive a step up to see if she can do it. But the wrong reason I got Mackenzie Dern, the reason I got the Mackenzie Dern fight wrong was because I trusted that, why am I forgetting her name? Cross-eyed lady. We're going to call her that. I forgot that cross-eyed lady was. Well, I didn't forget that she was awful on the feet. I just thought she'd be able to dominate with the wrestling, but Mackenzie Dern was able to keep it standing. The problem with Cortez is she has no dominance that she can have whatsoever in this fight. Blanchfield has a grappling advantage and the striking advantage, so Cortez is just going to be overwhelmed, and I think she's going to give up against Blanchfield, if I'm being honest. So give me Aaron Blanchfield to win 30-27. I think this is going to be a dominant win for Aaron Blanchfield. Moving up, we have Roman Kopylov going up against Gregory Rodriguez, RoboCop. I'm going to go with Gregory Rodriguez. I did not like what I saw from Roman Kopylov against Paulo Costa. I picked Kopylov in that fight, and it was a bad pick for me, it turned out to be. I just did not believe that Paulo Costa was going to throw anything because of Paulo Costa's fight with, I believe, Sean Strickland. He didn't throw anything, and it was a very boring fight. Don't get me wrong, he is powerful, and he's a good conservative kickboxer, but against a guy like Gregory Rodriguez that's going to come forward and has very strong punches, I think that's going to be too much for Kopylov. We saw it with Paulo Costa. Costa is known for pressure and coming forward with powerful shots, at least in his earlier career, and then the fight against Kopylov. He went back to his old self in the fight with Kopylov, but he came forward, applied the pressure, and was landing powerful shots on Kopylov that stunned him and was making him be even more conservative because he didn't want to get hit by those punches. So I think RoboCop's going to do nearly the exact same thing. If RoboCop even wants to take this to the ground, he will have no problem doing that whatsoever. Kopylov does not have a ground game. Rodriguez is going to be stronger than him. He does have a nice height advantage as well, 3 inches. 76% of people have picked Rodriguez, and I think that is a very good pick here. He's currently the minus 160 favorite on Tapology. I think for good reason. I'm going to go with Gregory Rodriguez. They're around the same age. I just think Rodriguez is stronger. He's going to be more aggressive in this fight. He's got the better grappling, and Kopylov is just going to be way too conservative for me to pick him in this fight. So give me Gregory Rodriguez by second round KO. Moving up to the main event of the prelims, we have Bo Nickel going up against Rodolfo Vieira. Now, I was lucky enough to go to a meet and greet with Bo Nickel there. He was a very nice dude, talking about how his mind is still set on becoming a champion one day in the UFC. Because I was wondering, because he went to Real American Freestyle, and I was asking him if, what's his focus on, because he joined the RAF recently. So is he starting to focus on more wrestling, or is he still, focused on the UFC? He says he's focused on the UFC. I saw this emotional video talking about how he is very sad with the passing of Charlie Kirk. I think that's going to drive him in this fight. I think he's going to look for a huge bounce back here, because a lot of people have cut him off after losing to RDR, which I don't get why, because RDR literally just was about to fight in a number 1 contenders fight. He also beat Robert Whittaker, so I don't get why people are cutting off Bo Nichols so early on in his career. He's only 29 years old, and, yes, he hasn't fought the best of the best, and he's already being hyped up a lot, but that's how a lot of prospects are. They get hyped up very early on in their career when they go on win streaks. So I'm still high on Bo Nickel, not as high as, some people are, but I think he will be ranked before he fights his next big challenge. The rankings is when he'll finally get challenging opponents, and we saw that with RDR. But he's going up against Rodolfo Vieira, which, if I'm being honest, neither of these guys really have good striking ability. We've seen Bo Nickel knock people out, but they weren't really that good. So we don't really know what to expect from his striking. Vieira has a little bit of power as well, but it's not like his strong suit as well. But Vieira is known for his very good BJJ grappling and submissions, more so his submissions. The problem is, I don't think he's going to be able to out-grapple Bo Nickel. Bo Nickel is incredibly fast. We've seen, excuse me. Sorry, it's getting late. We've seen that Bo Nickel is incredibly fast, and I think he's going to just outmaneuver Vieira in this entire fight. He has a little bit of height and reach advantage as well in this fight. He's from American Top Team, which is a very good camp for wrestlers. But yeah, I think he's going to really come out and shock people. I think he's going to get the first round knockout in this fight, if I'm being honest. People are going to call me crazy for that because he hasn't shown that he is good striking yet, but I really do think he's going to show a big improvement in this fight. I do think that his goal is to become a champion one day, and that starts with getting his striking fixed. So give me Bo Nickel to win this by knockout in the first round. I do trust that he's going to come back better than ever. So give me him to finish Rodolfo Vieira. And even if it goes to the ground, I'm still going to trust that Bo Nickel gets this fight done. I think he's going to outgrapple Vieira even if it goes to the ground, and even maybe find the submission. Moving up to the first fight on the main card, we have Beneil Dariush going up against Benoit Saint Denis. I couldn't find a way to pick Beneil Dariush. I've never really been high on Dariush. I've probably picked against him in every single fight that I've watched of his, besides Tony Ferguson. Saint Denis really impressed me in that last fight with Mauricio Ruffi. But the main reason I'm picking Benoit Saint Denis is because he's a very powerful pressure fighter on the feet. But his wrestling is so underrated, and that's what people don't understand about Benoit Saint Denis. They didn't understand that going into the Ruffy fight, and I mean, to my credit, I didn't even pick Mauricio, or excuse me, I picked Mauricio Ruffy to beat Saint Denis. So, I mean, I didn't even know how good his wrestling was, but that really showed how impressive it is. And I think it's going to go and shock Darius this time. Darius has shown that he can lose to these very good grapplers in Sarukian and Oliveira. And Saint Denis is going to be able to do the exact same thing, I think. Maybe not to the same extent, but he will be able to eventually get down Darius and get that top mount and do some real damage to Darius. On the feet, Darius is very clean boxing. He's kind of conservative. He's not like coming forward being all aggressive. He kind of is a counter puncher, which I don't think is going to play in his favor because Benoit Saint Denis is very aggressive. He's going to come forward. I don't know. If it goes to the ground, I trust Saint Denis to put it away, but I see Saint Denis even getting the finish on the feet here. I'm gonna pick Saint Denis to get the knockout in the second round. I think Dariush is just, starting to fade away slowly. I know he just beat Renato Moicano, but Moicano is hit or miss every single fight. So give me Benoit Saint Denis to win this fight. I think that he's gonna be able to out wrestle Dariush, and he will even win the fights on the stand up. Moving on, we have Leon Edwards going up against Carlos Fuentes, and this is probably the hardest fight for me to pick. Huge fan of Leon Edwards. I actually was cheering. Not a lot of people were cheering for Usman to beat Edwards, because Edwards is all about the underdog story. So I was actually not a big fan of him during the Usman trilogy. But then after the Usman trilogy, I was like, you know what? Leon's story is incredible. I cheered for him against Covington, cheered for him against Bilal. I actually cheered for Sean Brady over him. But yeah, Edwards has kind of not been looking the same anymore. He's been turning into this very conservative kickboxer with incredible takedown defense, but he always starts off so slow, and that's why I think I give the advantage to Carlos Prates. Prates is so dangerous throughout the entire fight, mainly that first round, and I think that's going to be dangerous for Leon Edwards. Now, Prates does have a little bit of a ground game, which he could try and go to in this fight. I hope he doesn't, because like I said, Edwards has amazing takedown defense. I actually kind of hope Edwards goes to the ground in this fight, even though Prates also has underrated takedown defense. We haven't seen it in his recent fights because no one's really been taking him down. But in earlier fights in his career, he's shown takedown defense that's very good. So both of them have good takedown defense. It comes down to striking, and Edwards is too conservative for me to pick this far in his career. And we haven't seen him go up against a dangerous striker in a very long time. To the fast and powerful shots that Prates throws, the last striker I would say that, Leon Edwards has fought that was very dangerous, it's been a while. I can't even really find one. He really has never fought a striker that's as dangerous as Carlos Prates, if I'm being honest. I can't find one. So this is really a huge challenge for Edwards because we never see him go up against a guy as scary as Carlos Prates. Another huge thing here is that Prates has a nice 4-inch reach advantage, which is going to play huge into this fight as well. So give me Carlos Prates to get knocked out in the first round. I have a lot of finishes early on in these fights, but Prates is going to shock the world here, and I think he's going to knock out Leon Edwards. It pains me to say it, though, because I do like Leon Edwards now. Moving up to the third fight on the main card, we have Sean Brady going up against Michael Morales. Go look at Michael Morales in the press conference and tell you if I'm going to pick him. He has like pink hair and he was wearing a pink coat. Absolutely not. I'm not picking a gay. I don't even know if Michael Morales is gay. I'm not picking a gay man against my American brethren, Sean Brady, my American wrestler who dominates people, Sean Brady. Brady's currently the -150 favorite. He does have a 2-inch height disadvantage, and he is also a 6.5 reach disadvantage. But I don't care. I'm going with Sean Brady. Let's look at his last 3 fights. After losing a very close fight to Bilal Muhammad, stand-up was very close, wrestling was very close as well. He went toe-to-toe with the former champ, and then submits Kelvin Gastelum, which that was kind of Kelvin Gastelum's last breath of fresh air. Then, a year and 2 months ago, dominates Gilbert Burns. And then, 7 months ago, dominates Leon Edwards in what showed that Edwards doesn't really have it anymore against these good grapplers. So, Sean Brady is coming off of 2 huge dominant wins over former contenders, whereas Michael Morales, he's coming off of a first-round KO to Gilbert Burns, but Burns has shown that he is on his way out. If we look here, Gilbert Burns, I believe, is on a 4-fight losing streak, so he's basically, yeah, he's lost 5 of his last 7, so he's on his way out pretty much, but I'm going to trust Sean Brady here. I know Michael Morales really hasn't been tested on the ground all that much, but Sean Brady, I genuinely think he's the best grappler in this division, not counting Islam Makhachev. I think Brady, his boxing is going to be very aggressive. I think he's going to stay on the inside of Morales so Morales can dominate the reach. But I think Brady is going to be able to force Morales up against the cage and get those takedowns. And I think once he gets him to the ground, Brady's going to take full advantage of every round once he gets him to the ground. I think it's going to be a 29-28 decision for Sean Brady. I do see a way where Michael Morales just sleeps him because Morales does have very dangerous power in his hands. But I'm going to trust my American brother, Sean Brady. We need an American champion, and Sean Brady is our best chance. So give me Sean Brady to win this one 29-28 decision. His ground game is just so damaging and lethal that I think it's going to cause way too much for Morales to recover and do more on the feet. So give me Sean Brady to win this one and to continue this dominant vengeance for the title, because if he goes up against, so I'm kind of hoping Islam and Sean Brady both win, because I think Islam Makhachev versus Sean Brady would be such a good American versus Russian fight, and you can even do that on the American card. Moving up to the co-main, we have the number 1 versus number 2 pound-for-pound women's fighters, the goats of their divisions. Shevchenko being the goat of the bantamweight division, and Weili Zhang being the goat of the flyweight division. Shevchenko coming off of back-to-back wins, one man in Firat, where Firat actually almost knocked her out in the later rounds, and then a fight to Alexa Grasso, where she actually looked very, very good after the draw and lost to Grasso. Whereas Weili Zhang has won 5 in her last 5, beating the likes of Tatiana Suarez, Zhang Yan, Amanda Lemos, Carla Esparza, and Joanna Jędrzejczyk. Currently, Shevchenko is the -130 favorite. I'm going to go with Weili Zhang here. I'm going to go with the underdog. This is my second underdog. I told you there was 2 of them. Weili Zhang has such incredible pressure and power in her hands that she's shown throughout all of her fights. Now, some fights have gone to the ground, which is why her fights tend to go to decision recently. But her pressure is just so incredible, and her power has shown that it delivers whenever she can to keep it on the feet. Shevchenko has shown that she's went from, being this aggressive striker and phenomenal wrestler to being more of a conservative striker, which has not really helped her out recently because Firat almost knocked her out. Grasso dropped her a few times in the trilogy. I believe Talia Santos almost beat her in a split decision fight. But yeah, Weili Zhang has shown incredible power in her hands. She's shown good pressure. Shevchenko and Weili Zhang both have phenomenal wrestling, so it's very even on the ground. I don't know who I would give it to. Probably give it to Shevchenko on the ground, but Weili Zhang could outmaneuver her with her speed. She could actually win the grappling exchanges with her speed. Shevchenko has a slight height advantage and slight reach advantage. But I'm going to go with Weili Zhang. I think her pressure on the feet is a huge difference maker in this fight. I don't like Shevchenko's stand-up anymore. It used to be so deadly with those head kicks, but it's kind of fading now. She's getting older. She's 37. I know Weili Zhang's 36 right now, but Weili Zhang still looks the exact same. And I think she's going to be able to get the knockout here. Give me Shevchenko to probably lose this in the second round. I'm going to get Weili Zhang to finally rush in, get the knockout of Shevchenko, and become the second greatest female women's fighter of all time. And now moving up to the main event, we have JDM, Jack Della Maddalena, going up against Islam Makhachev. I'm not making the same mistake twice. And what I mean by that is I picked against Hamzat Chimaev. In the video, of course, I picked Hamzat, but I changed my pick right before I posted it on Instagram. I switched to Dricus Du Plessis, and it was the worst mistake I ever made. I knew Hamzat was a dominant grappler, but I believed that Dricus would be able to have a better gas tank than him because I thought that Hamzat didn't really have that good of a gas tank. Now here's the exact same situation. Makhachev is a phenomenal grappler, but we have questions about his gas tank because of that fourth round with Dustin Poirier. Now, JDM is known for phenomenal striking, but I do believe Islam Makhachev is going to be able to take him down. He is not below Muhammad. Makhachev is way better stand-up than below Muhammad. He's a kickboxer with underrated kicks, but his boxing is very good as well. We saw that in the Volkanovski fight, how underrated his strikes are. And his grappling, he is not going to miss any opening that JDM gives him. The problem with Bilal was missing a lot of opportunities for shooting takedowns, and that was the big issue with that fight. Bilal could have took full advantage of shooting more takedowns, but he was missing them because of how tired he was. I think Islam will be able to actually make the best out of every opportunity he gets. Every time there's an opening, he's going to take the shot. I think he's going to get them. People are hyping up JDM's takedown defense, but before the Bilal fight, really, he didn't get taken down by anyone. And if he did, it was to people that weren't that good. So I might trust Islam Makhachev here. I do believe Jack Della Maddalena obviously has the better striking in this fight, but overall balanced fighter, I think I have to give it to Islam Makhachev. He's been so dominant for so long. And people say that JDM's going to have a huge size advantage, but I really don't see it. Islam's been bulking up with creatine, I heard. He's probably going to be like 200 something pounds going into the weight cut. So he's going to be able to get to around the same weight as JDM. So I don't see that as a concern for Islam. Islam's a very calm, pressured fighter. He can put on the pressure when he needs to, but he can also be conservative when he thinks it's going his way. So I think he's going to be able to outsmart JDM. He has a very good corner with Khabib. I know JDM's been training with Craig Jones, which, that's a very good partner to have, but I believe that Islam just is on a different level than all these other grapplers. I generally think he's the best grappler in the UFC. I do think this is the 50-50 fight. I know JDM has good takedown defense from what we saw from the Bilal fight, but I think Islam's going to find a way to still take him down. It's exactly like Hamza Chimaev. Chimaev is going to find a way to take you down every time. It doesn't matter who it is. So give me Islam Makhachev to win this fight. I think he finds submission in the third round. I don't think this guy go to decision. If Islam wins, it probably won't go to decision. If Jack wins, it's either going to be a late finish or no, yeah, late finish. I don't see this one going 5 rounds unless if Makhachev dominates on the ground for 5 rounds. But yeah, I'm gonna go with Islam Makhachev by third round submission. I think he's gonna take down JDM and wear him out. I know JDM has a good gas tank, but I think he's gonna be exposed to a grappler dominating him because we haven't seen what happens when JDM's on the ground. When JDM's on the ground to a good grappler like Islam Makhachev, we don't know what that's going to look like. Now, we saw Bilal get on top of him a few times, but it wasn't a dominant position. Islam will get to those dominant positions, and I think he's going to be able to keep him there for a while. So, give me Islam Makhachev to beat Jack Maddalena. Can't speak. And yeah, I think this is a very good card. I'd probably give this a 9.5 out of 10. I don't think there's a single weakness in the card other than the opening fight. But I'm excited to see Bison Yursa Sakaev get his KO over Makhachev and talk on the mic. Fatima Klein, Angela Hill will be an underrated women's fight. Cheap Mariscal should be able to get the finish over Sabatini. GM3 and Kyle Dawkins will honestly be an entertaining fight. We'll see Wellmaker knock out Ewing very easily. We'll see Blanchfield beat up the Tracy Cortez very easily, hopefully. Kopylov, Rodriguez could be a good fight if Kopylov is more aggressive, but we should see a RoboCop knockout. Bo Nichols return fight, I'm excited for that. Then Washington and Darius is a fun fight. Leon Edwards and Protez, either a highlight knockout or a phenomenal fight. Sean Brady versus Michael Morales, either an early finish or a dominant performance from Sean Brady. Shevchenko and Weili Zhang, the best women's fight in a very long time. And then, of course, JDM versus Islam in a very important fight for Islam's career. If Islam wins this, he's probably going to be top 5 all time for me. I would have to update my rankings in a few years from now, but I think I had Islam at like number 8. Before has Islam defended the belt since that list? I don't think so. No, he hasn't. So if he won this fight, I do think I'd jump him up from number 8 to number 5, because that's double champ stat. Well, 2 division champ status, and then it just adds another championship win to his career. So that being said, we're going to cap off this episode. We're going to get our predictions posts ready for Instagram. Hopefully everyone makes the weight. But excited to watch this card. Thank you guys for listening. We'll see you guys next time for the review.